Bonjour peuple du monde, bonjour compagnons d'infortune, j'espère que vous allez bien. Nous sommes toujours le vendredi 17 avril 2020. Enfin, c'est ce que l'on essaie de nous faire croire. Alors j'avais pris pas mal de screens, je voulais vous montrer quelque chose et ça m'est carrément, cette vidéo, elle m'est carrément sortie de la tête, j'ai oublié de la faire. Donc comme aujourd'hui je rentre certaines images de tout autour du monde, je vais vous expliquer le plan, une autre facette de la pandémie qui est très très bien ficelée, vous allez le constater. Donc vous voyez, c'est sur internet, c'est disponible, vous pouvez le rechercher si vous avez un bon navigateur, je pense que vous pouvez le traduire en français. Donc vous voyez, ça vient de la Rockefeller Fondation, comme par hasard, les mondialistes en puissance. Donc c'est les scénarios pour le futur de la technologie et le développement international, donc le nouvel ordre mondial. Bon, et dans ce magnifique pamphlet, dans cette chose, eh bien, il y a une partie, je crois que c'est en 4 parties, il y a une partie qui s'appelle, tenez-vous bien, ça date de 2010, je crois, à peu près ça a 10 ans. Donc c'est bien avant l'événement 201 de Bill Gates en octobre 2019. Et il y a une des 4 parties de cette espèce de chose, je n'ai pas trop de nom, de rapport, de propagande, bref, de monsieur les mondialistes, qui s'appelle le roulement de tambour, le lockdown, le confinement. Voilà, le confinement a été prévu en 2010, dans cette réunion, dans cette étude, dans cette chose, j'ai envie de dire. Donc il y est décrit parfaitement les événements actuels, parfaitement. Alors, je vais vous expliquer en des mots simples. Allez le voir, faites une recherche, vous tapez ça dans Google. Encore une fois, si vous avez un bon navigateur, vous aurez accès, 1, 2, 3, accès en français. Et regardez surtout la partie lockdown, la partie confinement. Donc voilà le plan. Tout est très bien décrit. Donc le faux virus de merde, maintenant je pense que tout le monde le sait, d'ailleurs vous allez voir des images des peuples qui se réveillent tout autour du monde. Donc ceux qui croient au virus, qui restent enfermés, ils sont victimes un petit peu d'un rituel satanique, je pense que vous avez compris. Et puis bien sûr, ils restent comme des moutons, donc ils poussent l'agenda, ils poussent des lois liberticides, nos libertés s'en vont. Le nouvel ordre mondial se construit bien sûr. Et puis, il y a ceux qui protestent. Ceux qui protestent, ils se font matraquer et du coup, ils votent des lois de plus en plus dures encore par rapport au confinement. Donc, j'ai un petit peu envie de dire que vous restiez chez vous comme des moutons zombifiés ou bien que vous alliez manifester dans la rue, eh bien, ils ne font que durcir ces lois. Voilà. Et puis, il y a bien sûr une partie de la population qui est très moutonnée, qui va réclamer plus de sécurité. Bon, les gens, ils ont compris, vous allez voir toutes ces images. Je vais les passer en même temps que je dis ça, je pense, parce que j'enregistre le son toujours avant les images. Bon, j'ai rien traduit, je pense que les images parlent d'elles-mêmes. Je vais peut-être rajouter un petit bout d'émeute qui a eu lieu en Allemagne. Vous aurez vu le monde qu'il y a. Alors, je ne connais pas la date du document, mais je pense que ça vient de sortir un petit peu. Je l'ai vu sur Facebook, donc je vais peut-être le repiquer pour le mettre dans le montage. Donc, vous pouvez constater, en Inde, la police, il tape les gens qui sortent dehors à coups de bâton. En Allemagne, c'est le 4e Reich, vous avez l'armée qui va avec des haut-parleurs et tout, qui parle à la population, qui leur dit qu'ils vont être arrêtés, etc. En Angleterre, bien sûr, ils durcissent encore les lois du confinement et de ceux qui brisent cette loi, puisque c'est un rite satanique, vous devez rester chez vous, voyez. Vous serez libérés quand on vous dira, parce que nous sommes vos maîtres, vous avez voté pour moi, vous avez voté pour nous, vous avez délégué vos vies dans un bulletin de vote, et maintenant on va bien vous la mettre bien profonde. Voilà, vous allez fermer vos gueules. Et les gens, ils sont pas trop contents, ils se sont dit, comment ça... Alors, il y a une scène qui est marrante, c'est un policier allemand qui dit que c'est pas bien ce qu'elle fait parce qu'elle pourrait propager le virus, et il n'a pas de chance parce que c'est une microbiologiste. elle étudie toutes sortes de trucs pathogènes, de microbes, de toutes ces saloperies-là. Et elle lui dit, je suis désolé, elle lui dit, vous êtes mal renseigné, vous croyez des mythos, des bobards. Donc carrément, le flic, il n'a pas de chance, il tombe sur une microbiologiste. Donc voilà, c'est un peu épique. Donc, voilà le scénario. C'est vraiment bien décrit là dans ce confinement là, de ce document là, du futur des technologies et du développement international. Donc voilà. Bon, je vais vous laisser sur les images. Vous voyez, ça fait un petit peu. Vous avez un petit tour du monde. Je ne sais pas si je mettrai encore une fois la petite émeute en Hollande, mais bon, je tenais à vous passer ces petites images quand même. Alors c'est réconfortant. Voilà, les gens, ils ont compris le truc. Là, vous voyez aussi les médias les médias américains qui ont dit que la grippe, elle avait tué je ne sais plus combien l'année dernière. Enfin, après, c'était 2,2 millions, après c'est 80 000, après c'est 50 000. Enfin, c'est d'un ridicule. À la France, ils ont passé... Il n'y a plus de morts de rien en France. Il n'y a plus de morts de cancer, il n'y a plus de morts d'arrêt cardiaque, il n'y a plus de suicide, il n'y a plus de meurtre, il n'y a plus de meurtre. Ouais, il n'y a plus de meurtre, il n'y a plus de gens qui meurent dû à l'alcool, au tabac, à la drogue, c'est fini maintenant. Il y a coronavirus. Ah, ils ont gonflé les chiffres à la pompe à vélo, c'est hallucinant, c'est vraiment des bouffons. Et même en les gonflant comme des malades, ça reste à peu près décent. Donc voilà. Bon, c'est vrai qu'au début, ils les trafiquaient pas, là ils sont obligés. Hein. Donc je continue à dire, il n'y a pas de virus, c'est une farce, on voit bien pourquoi ils ont fait ça. Donc vous avez encore un document de chez Rockefeller, hein. Rockefeller Fondation qui a 10 ans. Donc voilà, hein, ça date de bien avant, mais de toute façon ce genre de car c'est notre projet, ça date de bien plus vieux que... Voilà, ils prévoient leurs trucs de merde sur des décennies. Hein. Donc voilà encore un petit bout de preuve. Hein. Voilà, c'est assez marrant. Voilà, le confinement en 2010. Bon voilà, je vous laisse sur ces images.
Millions of deaths they originally predicted has gone back.
3 weeks on now, we're starting to see that the vast majority of the public here in Northamptonshire are complying. Sadly though, we have a small number of people who are persistently and consistently disobeying the law, and so that period of grace is over. This means for some people fixed penalty notices. It means for some people going to court. And it also means for some people getting a criminal record. So we will not at this stage be setting up roadblocks. We will not at this stage be starting to marshal supermarkets and checking the items in baskets and trolleys to see whether it's a legitimate, necessary item. But again, be under no illusion. If people do not heed the warnings and the pleas that I'm making today, we will start to do that.
As well in the UK, they are now using drones to ensure people don't drive their cars.
Vast majority.
Millions of deaths they
Vieux que... Voilà, ils prévoient leurs trucs de merde sur... Voilà, c'est assez marrant. Voilà, le confinement en 2010. Bon voilà, je vous laisse sur ces images.
Millions of deaths they originally predicted has gone back.
3 weeks on now, we're starting to see that the vast majority of the public here in Northamptonshire are complying. Sadly though, we have a small number of people who are persistently and consistently disobeying the law, and so that period of grace is over. This means for some people fixed penalty notices. It means for some people going to court. And it also means for some people getting a criminal record. So we will not at this stage be setting up roadblocks. We will not at this stage be starting to marshal supermarkets and checking the items in baskets and trolleys to see whether it's a legitimate, necessary item. But again, be under no illusion. If people do not heed the warnings and the pleas that I'm making today, we will start to do that.
As well in the UK, they are now using drones to ensure people don't drive their cars to areas where they'd prefer to take their daily walk. That would be deemed non-essential.
The most important thing is that people do, just take that one piece of exercise a day, limit the reasons for going out to ideally no more than a weekly shop. The main thing is to ask people to, stay home. If you are taking that exercise, take the exercise, if possible, close to home.
Meanwhile, in Berlin, the people of Germany, perhaps because of the nightmare still fresh in their grandparents' memories, are protesting these obvious breaches to their constitutional rights, and even the elderly are facing arrests as a result. Oh, and by the way, their media is covering none of this. It is only showing them the same fear the virus media that we're getting here in America. This was sent to me from a subscriber.
Wir wollen lediglich mit Ihnen eine Identitätsfeststellung tun. Ihr Eindämmungsgesetz ist Makulatur.
Lesen Sie den Rubikon!
Habt ihr mal ein Eid aufs Grundgesetz geschworen, als ihr in aktiven Dienst übernommen wurdet? So. Habt ihr das? Und jetzt tretet ihr es mit den Füßen! Nichts anderes macht ihr!
Gehen Sie bitte ein Stück zurück! Gehen Sie bitte zurück!
Gehen Sie mal bitte ein Stück zurück.
Achtung! Es folgt ein wichtiger Hinweis der Polizei. Ich richte mich an die Personen im Bereich Weidinger Straße und Rosa-Luxemburg-Straße. Durch die Eindämmungsverordnung des Senates von Berlin ist ein Zusammentreffen von mehr als 2 Personen untersagt. Da sie der mehrfachen Aufforderung, sich nach Hause zu begeben, nicht nachgekommen sind, wird die Polizei ihre Identität feststellen und Strafanzeigen fertigen. Folgen Sie den Anweisungen der Polizei. Es ist 15:57 Uhr, Ende der Durchsage.
Eine Frage, warum sind Sie heute hier?
Wegen der Außerkraftsetzung der demokratischen Verhältnisse. Unser Grundgesetz wird hier massiv eingeschränkt. Allein die Tatsache, dass wir uns nicht mehr versammeln dürfen. Sie sehen ja, wie wenig Menschen hier sind, wie wenig Menschen sich überhaupt trauen, in so einer Situation ihren Mund aufzumachen. Ich sage Ihnen, ein Mundschutz ist kein Maulkorb.
Wird die Polizei ihre Identität feststellen?
Nein, nicht weil sie auf diesem Platz stehen, sondern weil viele Menschen zusammenkommen, die Ausbreitung eines Virus, die Gefahr der Ausbreitung eines Virus dasteht. Deswegen schränken wir ein wenig.
Mikrobiologin. Sie tragen da eine Maske. Denken Sie wirklich, dass ein Virus Sie schützen würde davor?
Weiß ich, dass es mich nicht schützen würde.
Denken Sie wirklich, dass die Stoffe, die
Aber
Sie da einatmen, gut für Ihre Gesundheit sind?
Denken Sie wirklich, dass eine Diskussion jetzt gerade mit...
Das Virus, ich bin Mikrobiologin.
Ja.
Ja, ich beschäftige mich mit Parasiten, mit Zellbiologie. Das ist mein Hauptberuf. Ja, und ich verstehe nicht, warum hier ein Szenario veranstaltet wird über etwas, das gar nicht so stattfinden kann, wie es in den Medien verbreitet wird.
Nochmal ja oder nein? Eure Kinder können ja auch nicht in die Schule gehen.
Hört aber auf, Sie sind wieder laut, Sie können uns nicht sagen, wo wir hin.
Wir sind verloren. Wenn Sie jetzt hier auch noch ein Grundgesetz kaputt machen, dann sind wir sowieso ganz unten durch. Wir sind sowieso der Schauplatz der Auseinandersetzung zwischen Amerika und Russland.
Ganz kurz, wenn Sie jetzt an der Dame ziehen, machen Sie eine Gefangenenbefreiung, kommen Sie mit. Lassen Sie bitte los, halten Sie Abstände ein. Die Dame wird jetzt mit einer Ordnungswidrigkeit mitgenommen.
At the behest of the World Health Organization, Africa has been warned to act now to take measures to contain the virus. They have begun enforcing their COVID curfew more strictly with a measure of tear gas. The crowds of people had gathered to catch the last ferries out of Mombasa.
Well, police coast to coast will again raid parks, beaches and public spaces today, urging Australians to follow strict social distancing rules or face massive fines. Yeah. You can go to a park and you can exercise. So I can go and I can run laps, I can do push-ups and all. But we saw pictures yesterday and there was one in particular of a young couple with a newborn baby sitting on a park bench and they're being told to move on. What is allowed and what isn't allowed?
The reality is if you go to exercise, then go and do your exercise, then go home.
So family, yesterday I went down to the park with the kids and I sat on the grass and let, the 1-year-old crawl around and the 3-year-old sort of run around me. Under these new rules, I'm not allowed to do that, is that right?
If everyone went down to the park at the same time, Ali, it becomes a complicating factor that, do the kids have it or do you have it without symptoms, and are you spreading it to someone else who comes in contact with your kids?
Here's some footage from India during their 3-week quarantine with incredibly harsh enforcement.
Police here have resorted to physical punishments for those who breach it. Footage has emerged from Mumbai of them beating motorists with their batons in multiple locations. At one point, police are seen ordering locals to do squats. And they're not the only ones given humiliating public punishments. Some were made to do press-ups at the side of the street. This is a country of 1.3 billion people. It may have only a little over 500 confirmed cases.
Did you hear that? He just said only 500 cases in 1.3 billion people. Not even 500 dying. 500 cases, which we already know most of them are mild. So we're talking about, please, I suck at math, but it's something like 0.000000038 or something? And they're treating people like this? For their own good, right?
And a very low death toll compared to other countries. But it fears it could follow China, Italy and Spain. Whether the methods police here are using to stop that from happening are the right ones is another matter altogether.
Dozens of protesters took to the streets of Sao Paulo to protest the social distancing measures imposed by the governor of Sao Paulo and their inevitable devastation to small businesses and forced unemployment. Small businesses like mine are being closed, thousands of companies and millions are unemployed. He is committing a crime against small and medium-sized businesses in Sao Paulo and all the population of Sao Paulo. Meanwhile, Dubai has implemented a very strict lockdown system in which people have to apply to go outside regardless of the reason. They are forbidden outdoor exercise, and people need police permission to buy groceries, medicine, to go to the doctor, or even to leave home for an emergency.
We have joined the police patrol in the townships. Wherever we go, everyone runs away because they know they shouldn't be on the streets and they're afraid. The officers on duty seem anxious. They admit they can hardly keep these huge areas under control. The enforcement of the lockdown is anything but systematic. It appears random. This man couldn't get away fast enough.
We're supposed to be in his house. This is a lockdown, and you don't have any reason to be outside.
He's been fined for 1,500 rand, about 80 euros.
You have that kind of money?
No, I'm not working. That's why I was going to my brother to take a food.
The man says that during the arrest he was kicked and beaten by the police behind the house. We couldn't verify this from our position. A few blocks away we meet a young woman who doesn't want to show her face. She's afraid she'll be recognized. But she does want to show what the police did to her just for being on the street. She says several officers stormed into her house and attacked her with sticks and whips, and all this in front of her daughter.
It's actually traumatizing because I've never been beaten up like that.
The police defend their harsh action in the townships.
If they don't listen, then unfortunately those things happen. I'm not saying it's right, and in some communities that's all the members of the public understand.
Police fear the tension in the townships will worsen the longer the lockdown stays in effect.
Вернусь именно на высокий уровень риска. Ситуация в целом находится под контролем.
Moscow is using facial recognition to enforce their quarantine by using high-tech surveillance where they use facial recognition technology. Cameras are monitored from a purpose-built CV-19 control center where images and personal data of those under quarantine are put into a database so that they can be recognized by the cameras and monitor social media for fake news on the CV-19. Here's an operative dashboard where we can see the statistics. All the information we gathered is shown here. Contacts, email, telephone, employer, and so on. 95% of these people have been identified and their location is determined. Then we continue working with them. Russia is not the only country to enlist high-tech surveillance to battle this CV pandemic. South Korea. They too have been using surveillance cameras, mobile phone location data, and credit card records. Taiwan is also using a phone location tracking to ensure quarantine people stay in their home. And in Hong Kong, those under quarantine are being made to wear location tracking wristbands.
On the north side of the State House, by the entrance to the stateroom, the chants of protesters could be heard loud and clear.
Open Ohio now!
One of those voices outside the State House belongs to Jennifer Franz.
We feel like the virus is less of a danger to us than our rights being stripped from us.
She joined a few dozen protesters Thursday, many holding signs, some wearing masks, as they criticized the state's response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
There's just people who, again, like me, feel like their constitutional rights have been violated.
Some say they're now out of jobs, upset they did not have input on what businesses are essential or not.
I'm very appalled at the fact that they've done these things with the thought that, number one, it's okay, and number two, that they even are allowed to do these things.
Update. During the finishing touches of this video, April 15th, thousands in Michigan have also descended upon their capital to protest their loss of rights in this lockdown.
You're looking live at our state capitol, surrounded by protesters this noon. Those descending on Lansing are upset with the governor's executive orders that have forced many businesses to close. Political reporter Rick Albin kicks off our team coverage from Lansing right now. Rick?
Well, Emily, there are a lot of cars, as you can tell, and they have been here since very early this morning. By 11 o'clock this morning, the place was filled. All these lanes were filled with cars. I've seen no police presence to move them along. All of this in response to the governor's orders for people to stay at home.
So unless it's a life-sustaining activity, we're asking people to stay home.
And there are all kinds of signs on cars that talk about liberty and being locked down and quarantined and I need to work. So the governor, while she wants people to stay at home, is looking out the window if she's in her office at this crowd of people who have come out here today to protest those very orders.
Okay, Rick. Thank you for that. Leon, what are you seeing?
The Capitol steps, the scene of a protest. The whole idea here was that folks would stay in their car and participate in this gridlock, but we've seen a lot of folks who are saying they're not doing that. They're here, they're on the Capitol steps, staging a more traditional protest here in front of the Capitol building in Lansing. I want to show you one of the larger displays here, a huge sign that is out in the Capitol lawn. It says security without liberty is called prison. And we're going to walk up here and give you an idea of the feel some of these people have. First of all, tell us your name and what brought you out here.
My name is Joseph Dixon, and I came out here to support the Michigan businesses and stand up for the rights of our fellow Michiganders. We believe that the governor has overreached and overstepped her rights with our freedoms.
Are you concerned about this virus?
I was in the beginning until I've done my research and found out the realities and the media's overreach on it, and that it's not as serious as they made it out to be, and that's why I am here. I feel that they are overreaching, overreacting, and crushing our small businesses, crushing our economy.
I see you're wearing a mask, so you appear to have some level of concern.
Well, I have concern. I have just common courtesy for people, and I do have concern and respect for everybody.
What would you say to the governor if she's listening right now?
I would say, Governor, open our economy on May 1st and respect our rights and our freedoms.
All right, that's a little bit of the sentiment we're hearing here. A lot of these folks, hundreds of people who are gathered here on the Capitol steps. A number of them have signs. One here in the foreground says, "Recall Whitmer now." We see a number of American flags. Folks certainly having a political feeling that goes associated with this situation. It's quite the sight here on the Capitol steps. It's cold, it has been snowy, but it's not tempered down the spirit and the feeling that these folks have about letting their voices be heard in opposition to the governor's executive orders connected to the coronavirus.
Some have decided that what has been taken away from them makes protest worth it, like this surfer in Southern California.
I am out here protesting the fact that I cannot get in the water by myself, stay away from people, enjoy the ocean, surf, dive, and swim. No, I can't go catch a wave. No, that's illegal. I will get a $1,000 fine or go to jail.
But the largest share are pastors like these who have attempted to hold drive-in churches to be available for the needs of their congregation during a time of widespread fear and uncertainty. All the while, the bought and paid for media, of course, is portraying them solely as an endangerment to society.
We don't believe a virus suspends the First Amendment, and the First Amendment not only protects the church, but it protects the press.
The pastor from this church had cleared with an attorney his ability to have a drive-in church, but the police sent nearly 20 cars to stop it and let him know the new laws of the land didn't include the First Amendment.
City of Greenville on a church property. They got more police here than they do on the corner of Nelson Street. I'm a pastor of a local New Testament church. Look at all the police cars. They heard through the grapevine we're having service at 6:30. I'm a good citizen. Ain't breaking no law, ain't selling no drugs. I'm just preaching the word of God. And look at all these police cars here.
We'd like to give this an official warning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if there is a driving...
We're gonna get tickets.
We'll issue citations.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I'd like to give you a formal warning.
Yes, sir.
And we'll allow if you do have members come, we will allow them to leave before they're cited.
Yes, sir.
If they decide not to is when they will be dismissed.
Yes, sir.
An order from the governor.
Yeah.
Your right are suspended.
No, our right don't come from authority. It comes from the Bible. So the authority does not have the right over the Constitution. We're talking the Constitutional law, the First, Second Amendment. Mayor Eric Simmons can't take it away, nor the police officer. It can't.
Not military.
No, it can't. So y'all, this is happening in Greenville, Mississippi, the poorest part of the United States of America. More killing in Greenville, more drugs on the corner, and look where the police officer at. If y'all would have told me this, that I would experience as a pastor trying to preach the gospel, I wouldn't believe y'all. If y'all don't wake up, America, the police told me our freedom can be revoked. He said he don't care what the Constitution say. He don't care about the First and Second Amendment. I'm talking, when you say you don't care about what the Constitution say, you are violating the law of the land yourself. Police officers messing with the church. What have happened to America?
The last thing I want to do is stir up any kind of fear for people about the state of the world, but we need to be willing to look at what's happening in a realistic viewpoint, square in the face, in order to prepare, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, especially. Now, the good thing about the power-drunk people who control nations is that they tend to admit their plans openly. One, because they think we're all too dumb and compromised to figure it out. And two, I think because this is actually a spiritual war, ultimately, and they're required to tell us. But regarding their open admittance of their plans, we're going to go ahead and look at that document that was released 10 years ago, 2010, that openly states different scenarios that could feasibly lead to the technologically controlled world that they want to see become reality.